Right now, 400 miles beneath your feet, there is an ocean. Not a cave with an underground lake. Not a river winding through the dark. An amount of water so vast it may rival every ocean on the surface of the Earth combined. And it has been hiding inside solid rock this entire time. For decades, scientists suspected it was down there, but couldn't prove it. Then a battered, ugly little diamond came screaming up from the deep and changed everything. This is the story of the ocean you were never supposed to find. Start with a problem that bothered geologists for a very long time. Earth has a strange amount of water. Our planet is soaked. Oceans cover most of the surface. And for years, the question was simply, where did all of it come from? One idea was comets, icy visitors that slammed into the early Earth and left their water behind. But the chemistry didn't quite match, so a second, stranger idea began to grow. What if a huge amount of Earth's water never came from space at all? What if it was locked inside the planet from the very beginning, buried so deep we had no way to reach it? The trouble is, you cannot dig 400 miles down. The deepest hole humans have ever drilled barely scratches the crust. Below that lies the mantle, a layer of hot, dense rock that makes up most of the planet's volume. And somewhere in the middle of that mantle, between roughly 250 and 400 miles down, sits a region scientists call the transition zone. For a long time, that zone was exactly what its name suggests. A mysterious in-between, impossible to sample, impossible to see. But there was a theory. Back in the 1960s, an Australian geologist named Alfred Ringwood predicted that under the crushing pressures of the deep mantle, common minerals would be squeezed into new forms. One of these predicted minerals was later named in his honor, Ringwoodite. And Ringwoodite had a very unusual property. In theory, its crystal structure could trap water, not on its surface, inside it, woven into the very architecture of the crystal. For years, this was just an idea on paper. No one had ever held a piece of real Ringwoodite from inside the Earth. It only existed in laboratories and in meteorites. To confirm the theory, you'd need an actual sample from the transition zone, and there was no way to go down and get one. So the Earth sent one up. Deep in the mantle, under conditions we can barely imagine, diamonds form. And every so often, a violent volcanic eruption blasts one of these deep diamonds toward the surface at incredible speed. Most arrive looking flawless and beautiful, but in 2014, scientists studying a small, brownish, unremarkable diamond from Juína, Brazil, found something extraordinary trapped inside it. A tiny flaw, an imperfection most jewelers would throw away. Under the microscope, that flaw looked like a fisheye, a deep blue center wrapped in a pale haze. It was Ringwoodite, the first piece ever found from inside the Earth, a messenger from 400 miles down, carried up through the planet and preserved inside the toughest material nature makes. And when they analyzed it, they found the thing the theory had promised. Water. More than 1% of its weight was water, bound into the crystal. Take a moment on how absurd this sample is. Ringwoodite has a beautiful deep blue color, almost like a sapphire, but it only forms under the monstrous pressures found hundreds of miles down. Bring it up to the surface, release that pressure, and it wants to fall apart, reverting to ordinary minerals. This tiny blue speck survived only because it was sealed inside a diamond, a pressurized vault strong enough to protect it during a journey that would destroy almost anything else. Scientists had been searching for a piece of the deep transition zone for decades. What they got was a grain smaller than a speck of dust, riding inside a flawed diamond, holding a drop of proof that the theory was right all along. The first sample ever recovered was almost immediately at risk, because an earlier attempt to study a similar mineral had actually destroyed it. This was, in every sense, a message that barely survived delivery. That might not sound like much, but here is where it becomes staggering. If even a fraction of the transition zone is made of Ringwoodite this wet, then the amount of water stored down there could be enormous. Some scientists estimate it could equal all the water in all the surface oceans of the Earth. Possibly more. An entire hidden ocean's worth of water, sealed inside the rock beneath your feet. Now, this is the part people get wrong, and it's the most fascinating part of all. This deep ocean is not a body of liquid water. There is no shimmering underground sea you could swim in. The water down there exists in a fourth kind of state. Not liquid, not ice, not vapor. It is locked inside the mineral itself, its ingredients, hydrogen and oxygen, bonded into the crystal structure like moisture held inside a sponge that still feels completely dry. The rock is not wet, but squeeze it, heat it, break it, and water comes pouring out. And that is exactly what nature does. Deep in the mantle, rock is slowly churning. When wet ringwoodite sinks below the transition zone, the pressure rises even further, and the mineral can no longer hold its water. It essentially wrings itself out. The water is released and forces the surrounding rock to partially melt. So one diamond gave scientists a sample they could hold. But to see how widespread this hidden water really was, they needed a bigger picture. They found it by listening to earthquakes. When a large quake fires energy through the planet, those seismic waves change speed depending on what they pass through. Water-bearing, partially melted rock slows them down in a very particular way. By mapping these waves beneath North America, researchers detected exactly the signature they'd expect from melting at the base of the transition zone. The fingerprint of water being squeezed out of ringwoodite on a massive scale across an entire continent's worth of deep mantle. Two completely different methods, one impossibly rare diamond, and the echoes of earthquakes crossing the whole planet, pointing at the same impossible conclusion. There is water down there, a staggering amount of it, hidden in plain sight, inside the rock, this whole time. So what does this actually mean for you, standing on the surface, 400 miles above it? More than you'd think. If this hidden reservoir is real and as large as it seems, it may help answer that original question, where Earth's water came from. Instead of imagining that our oceans were entirely delivered by comets, this suggests that water may have been baked into our planet from its birth, stored deep inside, and slowly cycled toward the surface over billions of years. The deep Earth might be acting like a giant regulator, quietly holding water in reserve and trading it with the surface across timescales longer than life itself. And it hints at something bigger. It means the water cycle you learned about in school, evaporation, rain, rivers, sea, is only the shallow part of a far deeper story. Beneath it runs a slow, hidden cycle that moves water through solid rock over hundreds of millions of years in a place no human will ever visit. The blue planet isn't just blue on the outside. It may be storing an ocean's worth of water in its very bones. There may even be a link to why Earth stayed livable at all. That deep water doesn't just sit there. It changes how the rock behaves. Water lowers the melting point of mantle rock and makes it flow more easily. And many scientists think this hidden moisture helps keep plate tectonics running. The slow grinding of continents that recycles carbon, builds land, and steadies our climate over eons. A bone-dry planet tends to seize up, its interior stiffening, its surface going still. If the transition zone really is holding an ocean's worth of water, then that buried reservoir may be part of what keeps our world geologically alive, and, indirectly, part of what has kept the surface habitable long enough for you to be standing on it. The water you can't see may be quietly connected to the ground you can. For most of human history, we looked up. We searched the sky for water, hunting for it on Mars, on distant moons, on far-off planets, treating a hidden ocean as the ultimate prize of deep space. And all that time, one of the largest reservoirs of water we know of was sitting silently beneath our own feet. Not out among the stars, but 400 miles straight down, folded into the rock of the world we already call home. The next time you stand on solid ground, and it feels perfectly still and perfectly dry. Remember what the diamond revealed. There is an ocean under there. You just can't see it. And we only know because the Earth, every so often, sends a messenger up from the deep to tell us what it's been hiding. If the idea that an entire ocean has been hiding inside the Earth this whole time just rearranged something in your head, you know what the like button is for. And if you want to keep going deeper, the story of what scientists found flowing at the very bottom of the ocean, a river beneath the sea, is waiting on the channel.